Whether you're a new musician trying to break into the scene or a seasoned veteran just trying to reach new audiences, open mics provide the perfect space for you to get in front of an audience and test your skills. In today's episode of the Solo Musician Podcast, I'm going to dive into my top 10 tips to help you get the most out of the open mic experience. It's going to include what to do, what not to do, and how to use open mics to get better and launch your music journey into the stratosphere. So put on your spacesuits. It's time for tip number 1. And tip number 1 is be prepared. And I know that sounds very, very simple, but I don't think that it actually is. When I say be prepared, I don't mean practice. I don't mean get a good night's sleep. I don't mean make sure you're drinking water. I don't mean any of those things. I mean know the songs that you're going to play and the order you're going to play them in. That will pay dividends in your comfort level on stage. Even myself, doing this as long as I have, if I get up there in front of an audience and I don't know what I'm going to play, it's a little unnerving. I would much rather have a plan because all you have to do is execute that plan then. You have 3 songs at most open mics. You get 15 to 20 minutes. It's usually 3 songs. So know the 3 songs that you're going to play and know exactly the order you're going to play them in. And I would recommend starting out with something that is a little bit more upbeat. There's a lot of guys that come out to open mics that play a lot of slow songs because they're their songs. They're very emotive. There's a lot of originals that are played at open mics. So come out first song a little fast. That's a solid way to approach it. Fit one of your slower songs in the middle and then finish strong. That's how I would do it. You don't have to do it that way. But come up with a plan because the more prepared you are, the more relaxed you're going to be. And the more relaxed you are, the more people aren't going to look at you as a nervous person up on stage. They're just going to look at you as a musician performing songs. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, tune your guitar before your time to get on stage. That means if you see your name coming up on the list, make your way to your instrument while the other person is playing and tune your instrument. Having your instrument tuned when you get on stage just makes things move much faster. I would also recommend that if you plan on doing songs in different tunings, like if you're an open E for a song or your drop, whatever, if you're anything beyond dadgad, for the love of God, bring another guitar. We don't want to, the audience doesn't want to watch you stand there and tune your guitar. You're eating up valuable time for you to be playing or performing for other people. So one of the big things that I always do is when I see my name coming up on the list, I make my way over to my guitar. I pull my guitar out of the case. I get it tuned up and it's ready to rock. So I just have minor adjustments to make whenever I'm actually performing. Not only will it make things move quicker, but it's going to make the audience much more engaged if you're not up there playing the tuning song for 30 seconds out of your 15 minutes. So, all right, let's move on to tip number 3. And tip number 3 is play whatever songs you want to play. So get up there and play all originals if you want to play all originals. If you're a cover artist and you're trying to get booked at that venue, get up there and play whatever covers you think would get you the best chance of being able to perform there for a regular show. If you do a mix of both, that's awesome. But whatever you play, make sure you connect to it. You're in front of a crowd. You're not getting paid to play there. So you're in front of a crowd that wants to see what you want to do. They want you to put on the best musical performance that you can put on. And the best way to do that is to play music that you connect with. Instead of, if you get up there and play country roads at some open mics, people are going to throw stuff at you. That's not what they're there for. And especially any of the seasoned guys or any of the regularly gigging guys, they don't want to hear another rendition of Shabuzi. They don't want to hear, none of that needs to happen. So get up there and play whatever you feel like playing, whatever. If you're in a duo, try to do something that has harmonies or some complexity to it. Just whatever you're playing, just make sure you feel it, because that's the whole point of open mics, is to connect and to experience music in its rawest form. So that would be tip number 3 for me, is playing the songs that you want to play. All right, let's get on to tip number 4. And tip number 4 is really geared towards beginners or people who don't have a lot of stage time or stage presence or confidence or anything like that. Tip number 4 is very important for anybody who is just getting started in this. And that is, don't acknowledge your mistakes. Don't even give them the time of day. Most of the time, nobody else is going to realize that you made a mistake. And even if they do, they already feel bad for you. They don't need to feel worse for you because you're up there now sweating the fact that you made a mistake. If you made a mistake, move on. I don't know how much I can drive this point home, but there's nothing that makes you look more like a beginner or more nervous than going, oh, I missed that note, I missed this note, oh man, that didn't go the way I thought it would. There's a difference between acknowledging it and making fun of it and wallowing in it. Because whenever you wallow in it, the rest of the room is going to wallow in it too. And we don't want to do that. That's not what we're there for. That's not what they're there for. So if you make a mistake, just keep going. Try to blend it into the song and just act like it never happened. Because in all reality, for the most part, it didn't happen. That was there and gone. For every open mic, it's not like you're on TV. Half the time, it's not like most of the people are paying that much attention that closely to what you're doing. So it is a lot like it never happened. So don't make it that it happened. I know that can be harder to do than it is to say it. But if you go into it with the mindset that you're just going to keep plowing through, if you make a mistake or miss a chord or anything like that, it really just lets you be a little bit more free on stage to just be in the moment and play the songs. So don't worry about messing up. Nobody cares if you mess up more than you. So just try to move on from it and try not to mess up the next time. But that's part of the process of growing as a musician. Open mics are a great spot to do that. And I'm going to tell you exactly why that is in tip number 5. Tip number 5 for me is the crowd at open mics is almost always mostly musicians. And you should understand that you're never going to play for another crowd of people or an audience of people that want you to do better, that want you to succeed and have more respect for you in what you're doing than a crowd of musicians. You're going to have some people that are going to, criticize what you're doing. You're going to have some bitter musicians in the room or some musicians that haven't worked on their ego that think that they're better or further along than you because they've been doing it for a while or whatever. You're always going to have that, but the majority of people that are there, they're just so happy and respectful of the fact that you had the balls or breasts, I guess, to get on stage. They're in your corner. They're in your corner because they know how hard it is. They know how vulnerable you have to be to get on stage and do what you're doing at an open mic because they've been there. So just understand that you have this space to feel safe. You are in a safe space surrounded by people that want you to do well. So open mics are going to be the best audience that you play for, hands down. Probably if you're trying to make a career of it, open mic audiences are still some of the best audiences that I play for. And I play shows 3 times a week. So just remember that. Remember that it doesn't really get better than that. So just let that soak in a little bit before you get on the stage, and it should help to quell some of those nerves you might have, even though you're still going to be nervous. It might just take the edge off. So that's number 5. Let's move on to number 6. All right, tip number 6 is do not run over your time. Don't run the light. Right? If you're in stand-up comedy and they give you 5 minutes at an open mic and you run the light, every other comedian is going to hate you. The host is going to hate you. You're going to hate you. The same thing happens at music open mics. If you have 15 minutes, play 3 songs. And that's only if you can fit 3 songs in. If you can only fit 2 plus a little bit of banter in between, that's all you can do. Don't run the light. Because what happens whenever you go over your 15 minutes is now you've pushed the schedule back for everybody else. Now it's constantly playing catch up. So if a music open mic is 3 hours long, if all 20 acts do 3 minutes extra on their set, that's an extra hour on the open mic. And that's not fair to the host. That's not fair to the other people that are hanging out waiting. So just keep that in mind. The host is not going to be very happy if you run the light, your time is not more valuable than anybody else's time. Just like other people shouldn't run the light, their time is not more valuable than your time. So just keep a eye on the clock, and if you don't have time to squeeze a full song in, feel free to abbreviate it. Feel free to do a verse and a chorus. Nobody's going to be like, oh my God, you didn't play the whole song, especially if it's your song. So stay within your time slot. That's tip number 6. Tip number 7, bring cards. Bring something with your name and booking information, your social media, your YouTube links, any of those types of things. Anything that anybody can contact you to book you. And if things go well at the open mic, ask the host if the booker is there, the person who books the live music, and give them your card. Introduce yourself, give them your card, let them know, you play in the area or that you're looking to play in the area, and start the conversation. There's no better way to meet the booker and get in front of them most of the time than going to open mics. And if you don't have cards, like if they come up after, this happens all the time, by the way. I saw it happen whenever I was at my friend Matt Jameson's open mic the other week. The booker comes up after you're done and goes, hey, I loved what you did. How do I get a hold of you? And then you have to go, hey, I can give you my phone number or something. That doesn't show a lot of professionalism. And if you don't show that you're taking initiative to treat music professionally, they may not feel as inclined to book you. So bring cards so that way there you can go, here's this. All my info is on there. I would love to play here. And if things go bad, don't. If things go bad, don't give them your card. Wait till the next time that things go okay. I know that might be a little counterintuitive, but you're not always going to have the best performance at open mics. So if you have a bad performance, don't let your first impression be that bad performance. Don't drop a stinker and then come up to the booker and be like, hey, I'd love to play here, and hand them your card. Don't do that. So, but if you bring cards along and it goes well, make sure you pass that off to the booker. That will save you hours of emails and not answered emails and trips back and forth to there and buying food, trying to meet somebody there, the books. It's just going to save you all that time. So take advantage of that resource. Bring cards. Number 8 is really just a recommendation when it comes to open mics. As I outlined in tip number 7, open mics are the best possible way, in most cases, to get booked at a venue. So if you can make it a point to get to an open mic once a week, just once a week, and try not to go to the same open mic week after week after week. And if you're already full-time gigging or you're already gigging at the venue that's hosting the open mic, maybe try to pick one that you don't already play at to go check out, to try to get new venues, to get in front of new audiences, right? Because there's a lot of people that only go to the open mic close to their house, especially if they're live music consumers and not live music performers. So to get in front of different audiences in different areas and to have the best chance of booking new venues, try to make sure you're going to different open mics. And try to hit every single open mic that you could possibly hit in your area. And even if you're not trying to make a living or gig full time, getting out there and going to different open mics is going to get your music in front of other audiences that you may not have ever performed in front of. So number 8 is just get out to as many open mics as possible, as many venues as possible. And it's going to give your music a much wider reach. All right, let's move on to number 9. Number 9 and number 10, I think, are the most important tips in this video today when it comes to growing as an artist and kind of pushing your music journey along much faster than it would ever be pushed along just due to being at the open mics. Number 9 is record yourself. Record every single open mic set that you do. If it's 3 songs, if it's 5 songs, if you get to play multiple times in one night, record every single set. And then watch it. And I know that is horrifying. I still hate doing it. I watch my videos all the time. I don't like it. It's not a fun thing for me. Most of the time, it makes me very uncomfortable because I watch things that I thought I was doing correctly and I'm not. And it gives me this opportunity to improve. So record every single set. When I was starting out as a solo musician, I went to open mics every single week. I went to different open mics. I went to as many open mics as I could get to. I recorded every single set and I watched it back. And when I watched it back, most of the time I just thought there was no chance I was ever going to be a professional musician. Most of the time I just thought that other people should think I'm terrible. For a while I was thinking that people must be crazy to think that I'm any kind of good. But what that did for me was it helped me grow. By recording yourself, you can see where your weaknesses are. Are you closing your eyes constantly when you play? I'm guilty of that one. Are you making dumb jokes? I've done that as well. Are you playing the song too fast? Are you playing it too slow? Are your vocals lacking dynamics? Are you not getting loud and then soft? There's so much you can learn from watching your videos. Doesn't matter if it's a cell phone. It doesn't matter if it's an expensive camera. It doesn't matter what it doesn't even matter if there's video. Just to hear yourself is beneficial. But if you can do something, everybody has a cell phone nowadays. So number 9, which should be probably number 2, record yourself. Now let's move on to number 10, which I believe is the most important part of open mics beyond any other thing. And number 10, aka number 1, is talk to every single person that's there playing music, even the annoying ones. I know that might not be the most popular thing. Talk to everyone you can. Talk to the people that have been gigging for forever. Talk to the people who are brand new. Make as many connections as you can possibly make at that open mic. Beyond the fact that it is a great idea to have connections with the local music community, it opens up a lot of doors. If, Jim at the open mic gets sick and can't play a gig, you might be on his list of people to call. If he sees you play and you come over and talk to him and he gets to know you a little bit. That's how I got my first gig. That's how I went to an open mic. The host of the open mic got sick and he gave me my first gig. And then after that, the world exploded for me. So make sure you're talking to everybody you possibly can. You're going to get tons of insight from those local musicians. If you're charging too much, you're going to find out because everybody we're a community. Everybody's going to share. I charge this much. I charge that much. This place only plays this much. Oh, I know the booker for this place. There's so much information that gets passed around at open mics. And if you're just sitting in your chair and you're not talking to people, you're not going to get any of that information. You're missing out on the largest part of open mics. So make sure you're talking to anyone that will listen to you, and make sure you divide your time up because sometimes there's 20 musicians at an open mic. So make sure that you stop at the table and, walk up to the musicians and go, "Hey, I'm Dave. I really enjoyed your performance of," especially if they perform a song that you love already, just tell them, "I really enjoyed your performance of this. What kind of guitar do you play?" Try to figure out some gear, have some musician talk, because a lot of musicians, especially I'm full-time gigging most of the time. I don't talk to anybody. I'm out playing a show. I talk to the crowd a little bit, but we're not talking musician stuff. We're not talking about, any kind of live music, issues, or we're not talking about gear. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about Shabuzi, and we're talking about country roads. We're talking about that kind of stuff. So for me, whenever I get a chance to talk to musicians, I want to dig in their brain a little bit and hear what motivates them and what drives them and how they got gigs and how they continue to get gigs. And there's such a wealth of information. So make sure you're tapping into that. Like I said, that's number 10 on my list, but I swear that should have been number 1 probably, but I don't have time to edit the video down. So, all right, let's wrap things up. I really want to drive home the point that you're never going to have another audience that wants you to do better or respects your vulnerability for getting on a stage than an open mic crowd. So take advantage of that. Understand that you are safe. You are safe. You are respected. You're in a space where you can feel free to share your music, bare your soul. So don't put so much pressure on yourself to perform. Just be you. Everybody has showed up to see you in one way or another. They showed up to see, they know what they're getting. They showed up to see other people playing their music. They showed up to be entertained by something new. by a new artist they haven't seen. You know, they're showing up to a show without a name on the bill. So they kind of know what they're getting. So give them what they want. Give the crowd what they want. Give the other musicians what they want. Give yourself what you want to gain out of it. Like I said before, if you record yourself, you're going to grow. If you go to as many open mics as you possibly can, you're going to grow. If you talk to every musician that you can at open mics, you're going to grow. All of these things are growth tools. It beats the hell out of sitting at home trying to figure out what the next cover is you want to learn. Get out in the open mics, get into the scene, be a part of the scene, and you'll be a part of the scene. It's just that simple. I'm always available if you have any questions about open mics or any advice you want. Shout out to Dave Thomas over in the UK who reached out to the channel and just said that he picked up a guitar during the pandemic and that he's going to do his first open mic hopefully in April. I want to be a cheerleader. I wish I could see it. I hope that I see video of it so I can let him know how awesome it is, because like I said, it's you getting out to the open mics and you getting out there and getting stage time that is going to make all the difference in your career or your journey as a musician. I'll see you guys next week for another edition of the podcast with an interview with Frank Persico from New York City-based musician, YouTube sensation. Frank is an absolute wealth of knowledge. He has a million videos that are very informative. He has everything from camera setups to guitar setups to how to deal with bookers to how to get gigs to how to go to open mics. He has all of those things. So make sure you check out Frank Persico Music on YouTube, and he'll be on the podcast next week, and I can't wait to talk to him. So thank you for being here. As always, if you want to help, subscribe to the channel. Just subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get more followers on the channel this year, and I'm putting in a hell of a lot of work trying to make it happen. So more content like this coming up soon, and I will see you guys then.
Thank you for tuning in today. Your support keeps the music flowing. Every note and what I play means the world just to hear you know it. We'll see you next time. Don't stray by. Your love is our shining star.